I supported him. He lost. He let us down. But, you know, he lost. So I never liked him as much after that, because I don't like losers. But Frank, let me get to it. He hit me. He's not a war hero.
He's a war hero.
He's a war hero.
5.5 years.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
Well, John McCain talked about the controversy for the first time today, at least publicly. He said he's no hero and he's not seeking an apology for himself, but he does want Trump to apologize to other veterans.
I think he may owe an apology to the families of those who have sacrificed in conflict and those who have undergone the prison experience in serving their country. I'm in the arena, as TR used to say, but in the case of many of our veterans, when Mr. Trump said that he prefers to be with people who are not captured, well, the great honor of my life was to serve in the company of heroes. I'm not a hero.
Well, was any publicity bad publicity? Let's ask Sean Moffitt, who's the directing manager of Wikibrands. This story confounds me. Can you make sense of this?
Father's under the Rob Ford School of Politics, isn't it? Like, do more presumably bad stuff and get higher ratings. Just before coming on the air, Donald Trump now has about a quarter of the Republican voters firmly behind him. How long they stay there will be a very interesting point, but it is a fascinating marketing and political case study.
So how would you give advice, PR advice, to a guy like this when every time he apparently commits a gaffe, it works for him? What would you tell him going forward?
Well, now this is Donald Trump, presuming he would take the advice, which is, I think, some of the reason why he's in the challenge that he is now. I think there's two things going on here. One, I hate to say perceived xenophobic and racist comments have a plus side, but if there's any, it's here's a guy who is an underdog guy coming out from the outside, not the Republican choice whatsoever, and he has created massive amounts of headlines, attention, and now public vote for himself. So I must say there's a checkbox for him there. I think a couple things. One, the downside is we've seen business values and government kind of political values not merging too well. And albeit he must be happy about his 24% poll running, he's now had at least 3 or 4 prominent boycotts that really cut into his business empire. So that would be one big thing I would say. Stop the polarizing comments in this world where if you're any kind of publicly traded company, you are going to have to appreciate the public sentiment, and the public sentiment, by and large, is Donald Trump, you're kind of a relic, and you know, so toning down some of the rhetoric might be a first step.
You identified, though, the fundamental problem with my question to you was if he were to take your advice, which I think, as you know, there's no evidence he takes anybody's advice. But let's talk about the business side of it for a moment. You know, the Trump Towers. There's one that's being built here in Vancouver. There's one in Toronto, and to an extent, I mean, ego is one of the reasons he puts his name on those buildings. But also, he must believe that there's a business advantage. Do you think this negative publicity, politically, especially in Canada, is going to affect things like the brand that he attaches to his buildings?
Yeah, I mean, Donald Trump is your classic over-leveraged celebrity. He takes other people's money and, you know, builds his own fortune out of it. And I think certainly when you look at his real estate empire, we've seen some of his media empire crumbling. He's just been fired from The Apprentice, which was the goose that laid the golden egg for so many years for him. That he's going to come out of the other side of this election with a lot less assets behind him, never mind to acquire wealth. I think part of the Trump brand name is through indulgence and extravagance, we are going to generate media attention and hype. I think it's going to be increasingly tough after this election to do that as well.